I am gonna blow your mind right now. Are you ready? Here we go. Every article that you read about a product or a service on some reputable journal like The Atlantic or Huffington Post or New York Times is most likely sponsored by that product or service. That's because companies pay huge money to publish articles in reputable journals that are ads without sounding to the reader like they're being advertised to. And you know what? You can do this too by learning how to write advertorials. So today I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, why you should care, where to publish, how to write a good advertorial, and finally give you a few good examples of advertorials to help you out along the way. My name's Trent Kennelly. I'm a marketing strategist, and on this channel I talk about all the things that you can do to improve your business through marketing, sales, and analytics. So if that sounds good to you and you're excited, make sure that you like this video, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, comment and let me know which publication you would love to be in, or if you've done this before, please link it back in the comments. I would love to read what you have written and what you put out there in the world. Until then, let's get started. Okay, so what is an advertorial? An advertorial is basically a story that is intended to get someone to make a purchase on something. The idea here is to covertly teach people that your product or your service is the best possible solution. This shouldn't even know that they're being advertised to at the end of the day. This is not copywriting in the traditional sense. If you want that, you can go check out this video on copywriting. But what we're talking about here is more like ninja copywriting. You're trying to be really covert. You're trying to tease them into wanting to make that purchase without making them feel like they're being advertised to. All right, why should you care about this at all? I mean, there are so many different ways to advertise online nowadays. Why should we care about being covert, about being ninja at all? The answer is very simple. There are so many ads out there that ad blindness is a real thing. Banner blindness is where we don't even see the banner ads on the sides and the top of web pages anymore. Facebook ads are suffering the same thing. We notice the ad right away. We notice ads on a dime. And so in order to break through that noise, you need to be able to be more compelling. And there's nothing more compelling for a human than a good story. We are driven by it, and if you can take advantage of that drive for a good story, you're gonna pull more people in, you're gonna build more interest, and you're gonna get more sales. It's totally worth it. So let's just take a step back here and let's realize that there are two main ways to write marketing publications. There's the spammy way, where you're not even bothering to hide the fact that it's an ad, or you're doing such a bad job of hiding the fact that it's an ad that it's obvious. Or you can do this on the slide, where people are so engrossed in the story that when the product or the service is presented, it's more of an afterthought, but also the reason for the main character's success. It's this weird counterbalance that you have to walk. Just think of it like the product placement in a movie or a TV show. Do you always notice that the car that they're racing down the street on is a BMW? No, but it's there and you kind of realize it in your subconscious, so it's helpful. But if it becomes too focused on, if there's too much attention drawn to the BMW logo, then you're gonna go, oh, that's an ad, and you're more likely to dismiss it. So the goal here is to make a piece of content that is so compelling that whatever's for sale seems to be both an afterthought and the reason for the main character's success. I know that sounds tough. We're gonna get into how to do that. Where to post is really about who your audience is. You can check out this video on ideal customer avatars for some details on that, but understand for this video that different targets need different things. Your target might use bigger words, they might be more playful and use more playful tones. The ideas might need to be simpler for your target. It really just depends on who they are. Because once you understand that who, it becomes much easier to figure out the where. And the reason for that is that these targets are already consuming content on other platforms. They're not waiting on you. They're already on BuzzFeed or New Yorker or New York Times or The Atlantic or whatever, and they're already consuming content there. So you need to figure out the who before you can figure out the where. So let's compare two different profiles to really get a better feeling for what this is. The first avatar is young Yasmin. She's 25 years old, fresh out of college, first job and apartment, single, female, and owns a dog. The second avatar is older Oscar, 60 years old, near the end of his career, married, kids off to college, very opinionated. So what sorts of publications is Yasmin most likely to look at? Probably things like BuzzFeed, Cosmopolitan, People, that sort of stuff. What about older Oscar? The Atlantic, New Yorker, Wired, National Geographic are probably some good examples of what he would be reading. And the difference here is very stark. Look at BuzzFeed versus New Yorker. BuzzFeed is short listicles and not very detailed, very punchy and funny in its own way. And then the New Yorker is much more dryly hilarious, a lot more heady kind of content with much bigger words, right? So it's really important for you to understand the category first before you figure out the specific publication. But once you have figured out which publication you think you want to go for, it's really important to read several articles on that publication before you make that final determination and look for some pretty specific things. So here are the things that I suggest you look at. Imagery. Do you need a lot? Do you want a lot? There's always going to be a question of images because you at least need one on the header section, but some publications require a lot more. Like BuzzFeed a lot of the time will require GIFs every other line, it seems like. So it really is very important to understand that. Headlines, how many? Now, when I say that, I mean not just the headline on the top, the title of the article, I also mean how many headlines throughout. Is it gonna be like a listicle where you just got boom, 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 every other line is a headline, or is it gonna be one headline at the top and then a body of text? The opening, how do they open their articles? Do they introduce a character straight away? Do they pontificate about the Green Hills like J.R.R. Tolkien for 5 pages first? It's really important to understand this so you can figure out how to write that style correctly. Use of language, how complex, how simplistic is that language? Again, BuzzFeed is very simple, New Yorker is very complex. What is the body like? Is it a series of short paragraphs? Is it long and winding? This is very important as well. So all of these things really affect the way that the article is read by the reader. It also affects the way that you're going to be able to write it, and it affects whether it's going to even fit with your style of your product or service generally. So let's talk about how to write those advertorials. Remember that you are telling a story, so you need to engage these readers. You need to bring them into the story. You want to envelop them in it so that they can be invested by the time they reach the ad and not even realize that that ad section is an ad, right? If they smell it's an ad, they're going to leave. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use a basic story structure. This is the same story arc that's been used in pretty much every story that's ever been told, and it starts with exposition. Exposition is where you set up the scene, introduce your characters, your goals, your motivations, that sort of stuff, and then the main character faces the enemy, aka the conflict. So this doesn't always have to be a physical person. If, for instance, you're selling a weight loss routine, then the enemy would be overweight. So it's always going to be pain focused in that way. I talk in this video about how marketing storytelling is almost always focused on pain, and this is one of those situations where you want to be focused on the pain because then we can resolve it later on. And then the next 4 are pretty straightforward. Rising action is where that character is facing obstacles on the way to reach their goal. So whatever you're tripping over when you're trying to lose that weight. The climax is where the battle is won. The product or service that you are pushing is coming into play here. So if you have a workout routine and that's really helped someone get over that hump, that's where you talk about that here. Don't make it super obvious, but it is an important element. It's the linchpin to get them over that hump. Falling action is what happens after. So success stories, how the characters benefited, that sort of stuff. And then resolution is when the goal is reached and the new normal is now in place. So this is a full story arc where you've got very exciting things that are happening, very exciting resolutions, that beast is slain, you have vanquished the enemy, and now you are able to put that new normal in place and be a better person as a result. This is the same story in everything. Look at any Marvel movie, look at any great movie that you enjoy, it's the same story arc over and over, okay? So just keep this in mind. This is how we write good advertorials. Let's do 2 examples of good advertorials so that you can kind of see how they work. One exactly follows the story arc, another is a little bit more flexible. So this first one looks like it's an article spurred on by The Atlantic to talk about the IBM Watson. And yes, there are a lot of cool accomplishments in here, but I want you to look in that top right corner. Sponsored. This sounds like real reporting. It isn't exactly real reporting because it's sponsored. It gets you interested in it. It gets you to read that article and want to learn more about the IBM Watson. And so it's doing its job while your Spider AdSense is not going off. So this is a really effective article for that reason. The second one doesn't follow that exact story arc structure, but it does a great job making you associate Miller Lite with Oprah's favorite things in one single paragraph. So this almost like hijacks the story that Oprah builds and put some Miller Lite on top of it to build a story, an advertorial in a single paragraph. It can be really effective in that way. So you can see that the story arc structure is very effective. It works very, very well, but you can still be flexible with this advertorial style to get at people from different angles. So just think about that. All right, so I hope you can see what a huge value advertorials are. Please let me know which publication you would either love to be in or have already been in the past, and please link me if you have. I would love to read it. Otherwise, if you want to talk, you want to have a conversation with me, I'm always open. Please reach out, shoot me a comment if you want to, or I have coaching that is free and paid on my website, so you can check out both those options. The free is very specific for people who are specifically in need. So I am happy to talk to you in both of those instances. Please check that out on my website and reach out to me in that way. Otherwise, if you just need some guides, I have so many free guides on my website. My most recent one is a 2021 marketing trends guide, which you can check out on my website. Links are in the description along with everything else. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a like, subscribe to my channel if you're into it, and I'll catch you in the next one.